Hi guys, welcome to or back to the channel. If you're new here, which could be the case because I've never done a book review on my channel, then welcome. I have triplet boys. My name is Aubrey. That's about it. That's my life. I like to work out, go to the gym, and I've taken up the new hobby of reading books. I'm a stay-at-home mom. I work from home just doing social media. That's my full-time job, and then I have been reading books for fun lately, and so far all I want to read is thrillers. I don't know that that will be forever, but right now that's the genre that I'm like most interested in reading. So since I'm home with the kids all the time, I actually have a lot more free time than you would think, and so I took up reading, like I said. As you can see by today's title, I am reviewing all the books that I read over the last month. So I've finished 10 total books over the last 30 days, but I am on my 11th, and then I'm also going to review the Kindle for you. I got a Kindle after I read like my first 5 books. I was like, maybe I should stop spending all this money and invest in a Kindle and see if I like it. So it's not a sponsorship. I didn't get a free Kindle, and I'm gonna do like a legit review for you guys of the Kindle and tell you if I think it's worth it, if I like it, blah, blah, blah. I have some of the physical books here that I read over the last month. I also let my aunt borrow a couple. I'm in the middle of a Flicker in the Dark, but I'm going to be reviewing these 4 books and then also 6 more. So we have If You Tell by Greg Olson. We have Pretty Girls by Karen Slaughter. This was such a thick book. We have The Perfect Marriage by Geneva Rose. I read The Housemaid 1 and 2 by Frida McFadden. Then I have... I read Never Lie by Frida McFadden, The Locked Door by Frida McFadden, Local Woman Missing by Mary Kubica? Verity by Colleen Hoover. So I'm going to tell you my honest opinions about all of these. Again, no sponsorships. These are all my genuine opinions on the books that I've read this month. We're just going to start with Verity, Colleen Hoover. It was the first book I read. I haven't read since high school. I could not put that book down, and I was honestly scared to read anything else after because I was like, I'm not going to like anything as much as I like this book. But I was wrong. I've read some really, really good ones over the last month. Also, I have a Goodreads profile, so if you want to follow me on there, I will put my information for you guys. I've been rating and reviewing all the books, and I never put any spoilers, and this review will not contain any spoilers either, just FYI. I could always do like a separate one talking about the actual contents of the book. If you guys would like something like that, just let me know. I will say Verity is dark. I didn't know Colleen Hoover. I mean, I've seen all of her books and I knew she was like a best-selling author, but I didn't know the plot of her books. I didn't know what type of writer she was. And so as far as I have heard, at least through, again, my very beginnings, is that she doesn't do a lot of thriller, or that might be her only thriller book. I'm hoping that she sees how well Verity did and she will continue writing horrors, thriller, suspense books, because it was very, very good. It was hard for me to put the book down. I think I finished it 2 days. I finished it, which is like my average. I usually finish a book every like 2 to 3 days. Some of them I read in 1 day. Like, it's weird, but I thought that the character development in that book was really good. I liked how the very first chapter you're like, what is going on? And so I don't know, I think the whole time you don't really know what's gonna happen, and then the end is like a total curveball. Like, you would never suspect the end at all. I loved this book. Like, I don't think I was ever bored reading it. It is dark though, and I think that it should probably include some trigger warnings. It could be a little triggering, I'm sure, to some readers, so just be mindful of that if you want to read that one. The next book I'm gonna go over is Local Woman Missing. I loved this book. I gave it 5 stars out of 5. It was so good. It was another one. I mean, honestly, I would probably tie it with Verity. It kept me like turning every single chapter. Like, I read it so fast. It was so good, and I think that I liked that one a lot because the plot in it was like a little bit different than any of the other books that I read over the last month. The ending is crazy. I personally would never have guessed it, and I feel like I'm starting to get pretty good at guessing plots. I was floored. My aunt also read it. She loved it. She said it was a great book. She would recommend, and she's a huge reader, so if she liked it, then we're doing good. So I read also The Silent Patient. My aunt loves Silent Patient. She was obsessed with that one. I gave it 4 stars. I didn't hate it. I just thought it was a little bit of a slow start, and you're just kind of like, let's get to the point, like, what's going on? It took a while to pick up. After it picked up, it was crazy. And again, I don't think you guys would guess. You might. Some of you, there's gonna be somebody who can guess what happens, but I felt like There was such good character development in that book as well, where it's just like keeps you on the edge of your seat. It's basically this psychiatrist, I don't know the exact, I think psychiatrist. He starts working at this psychiatric hospital, and he wanted to have that job specifically to meet one of these patients who killed her husband X amount of years ago. I can't remember, it's a long time, and hasn't talked since, like is completely silent. It's so good. It's so good. You would never guess what happens. It kept me definitely flipping towards the end. Like I said, it started off a little bit slow, but I still gave it 4 stars because I think it's worth it to read it once you get to that point. Next, I'm doing Pretty Girls by Karen Slaughter. Trigger warning. You need a trigger warning for this one. There is some dark stuff in here. I rated it 3 stars, and going back, I think I would probably rate it 3.5 stars. It was worth it to read. I'm not gonna say I wouldn't have read it. It's dark. It's very dark. It's very jacked up. Look it up on Goodreads and read some of the like trigger warnings. That way you know before you get into it. It starts off pretty quick, which I liked. But then I felt like there's this huge dead space. I mean, the book is 600 pages long, almost. And I felt like, honestly, like maybe half of it was dead space. And that's why I rated it lower, because the overall plot and the way that it twists and develops is crazy. I mean, there was definitely some good twists and turns in this one, but it just took a little bit to get going after the first initial shock of what happens at the very beginning. So, I don't know, I'm just torn on it. I did like it. I would recommend. I will say I will recommend. Okay, next we're doing Perfect Marriage. I gave this one 3.5 stars. I feel like I'm one of the only people who like wasn't overly in love with this book. I just didn't really like it that much. I didn't hate it. I would read it again. I would still recommend. Every book that I read this month I would recommend. I thought it was predictable, honestly. Just didn't think the plot was there. And I hated the ending. I knew it was coming. I saw it coming from the beginning. And the plot just wasn't that good to me. It's basically this husband is cheating on his wife, and ends up the mistress that he's been cheating on his wife with ends up dying. And so his wife is a lawyer and defends him in court basically for the crime, because he's saying he's innocent and that he didn't do it, but the mistress was found at their lake house with him. Well, he had left that morning, but regardless, he was the last person to see her alive, blah, blah, blah. I thought it was predictable. Once you get into the plot, it's like you could kind of see it coming, but still good. I still thought it was good. It's worth it to read it. Let me know what you think. I'd love to see what you guys think about these in the comments too. Okay, so next up, the Housemaid series. Yes. I gave this one 4.5 stars, and I gave the second one 5 stars. The only reason that I gave this one 4.5 stars is because there was one piece of it that shocked me about the wife. That's all I'm gonna say, because I don't want it to be a spoiler. The rest of it, although very good, like it kept me turning the pages, I wasn't like, oh, I'm so shocked. It wasn't like a huge shock value to me, and I do like the books that are like super shocking, but this book I couldn't put it down, and I couldn't stop reading it, and I wanted to know what happened. And overall, I think the plot is really good. Like, it just has a good story to it. It's basically just a maid that moves into this house, and I can't really get into too much without telling. I don't know, she ends up falling for the dad of the family. It twists and turns all over the place. It's very, very good. Like I said, not a huge plot twist, but there is like one piece of it that's like the second one, which I read on my Kindle, even better, 5 stars. I would read both of them again and again. So here's my Kindle and my books in there on my library, just showing that I did read it. Very good. I thought that one, the plot twist on that one was a lot better than in the first one, and it has stuff to do with the first one, but it's like a second plot of her like moving on with her life and doing new things and whatever else. So you'll see if you read them. I highly recommend. I think it's a great series, and I love Frida McFadden books. I'm a huge Frida McFadden fan that I've learned over the last month. Again, I just started reading, so it sounds fake for me to be like, I'm a huge Frida fan, but I love her books. I love them. So the other Frida McFadden books I read were The Locked Door and Never Lie. Never Lie, I rated 3 stars, which makes me think that I should up my Pretty Girl rating to at least 3.5, if not, yeah, probably 3.5 stars. I did not like Never Lie. I had a hard time continuing to read it. It was just kind of dead to me, and I got really scared that maybe I was getting not like I didn't want to read anymore. That's not the case, because I read books after that I loved, but I don't know. The plot wasn't there for me. I just wasn't a huge fan of it. I just thought it was kind of hard to like keep getting into, but I still would recommend it. I still don't think it's a bad book. It's basically this couple is going to look at this house from this psychologist who has been disappeared for 3 years. years. She died, and they're going there to look at it to try and buy it, and there's this huge snowstorm and they get stuck there for like a couple days. She goes and starts like looking through the house, and she finds all these tapes that the psychologist filmed during her interviews with her patients, basically, and she starts uncovering like what happened to the psychologist. I think truly that if it would have had a better ending, that I would have liked it a lot more, because I thought the plot was there, the plot was good overall, but it just was like the delivery of it, I just didn't like it, and the ending I thought was terrible. It was just like, this is stupid. It was one of those endings that like kind of surprises you, but it's not the way you wanted it to end, so I don't know if that's technically a fair review for me to be like the ending was horrible, because I mean it just wasn't the way I wanted it to end, I guess. I don't know. The Locked Door is a good one. I did like that one by Frida McFadden. I rated it 4 stars out of 5. I'm just gonna read you the plot of this one because I forgot to make notes on it. So, while 11-year-old Nora Davis was in her bedroom doing homework, she had no idea her father was killing women in the basement until the day that the police arrived at her front door. Decades later, Nora's father is spending his life behind bars, and Nora's a successful surgeon with a quiet, solitary existence. Nobody knows her father was a notorious serial killer. She intends to keep it that way. Then Nora discovers one of her young female patients has been murdered in the same unique and horrific manner that her father used to kill his victims. Somebody knows who Nora is. Somebody wants her to take the fall for this unthinkable crime, but she's not a killer like her father. The police can't pin anything on her as long as they don't look in her basement. It was good. It had definitely some things that I didn't expect happen, which is my favorite type of book. If I can guess it, I don't want to read it. Like, I don't like that. I want it to do some crazy things, and it did. It was good. Also did like the storyline of that one a lot, and I thought that she did a good job, Frida, of developing the characters, and you would not guess that one at all, I don't think. I would not have guessed what happens in that one. It's a good plot twist for sure. So next up, I'm gonna do If You Tell. I will say, Braxton picked me out this book, and when I read the back, it was like the true story of 3 young girls caught in the web of a coldly calculating killer, their mother. And so then I started reading it, and it was like, basically, true story. Murder, family secrets, unbreakable bond of sisterhood. I bought it because I was like, oh yeah, this looks good. It was, I will say, by the way. I rated it 5 stars. 5. But I thought it was fiction and just based on, like, it was a true story, but, like, still fiction. Like, gonna do the whole character development and, like, tell the story. It's not. It's nonfiction. It goes through and explains the whole case. This one made me I cried, like, 3 or 4 times during this book. I'm not gonna lie, it starts slow. But if I gave it 5 stars and it started slow, you know that I really liked it. Because if I'm not, like, instantly into the book, I get really bored and I'm over it. I finished this one in a couple days. Oh my gosh, it's so good, you guys. It's so good. You have to read it. If you like true crime, this is a good one. You could go and Google the case. Just type Shelley, Shelley, or Michelle is her real name, but it'll pop up either way. And then the last name is Notek. It's Knotek. And you could like read a little bit about what the case is about before you read it, and it won't spoil it because it's not really so much as what happens necessarily in the book that's crazy. How do I say this? You don't have to be surprised to read it and love it because it goes through like day to day what these girls went through and a couple of the family friends that had moved in, and trigger warning, a lot of abuse in this book, but I just couldn't put it down. I loved it so much, and the sisters are bad. They're amazing. So definitely, if you like nonfiction, this is a great one. And I know that a lot of people love this book. It's also like on the Amazon charts for bestseller. I know that it was like top 1 for a long time, and I think it still is. It's so good. I promise you will not be disappointed. More than 1 million readers. Okay, so really quick, I'm going to review my Kindle. I got the newest version, the Kindle Paperwhite, the 6.8 screen. It's water resistant, which I love, and I'm just gonna straight out say it. I love it. I love it. I actually read 6 books maybe. Yeah, 6. That's exactly what I read before I started my Kindle, and I was terrified to read my Kindle. I was like, I just don't know that I'm gonna like this. Braxton was like, I think you're gonna hate it. It's a waste of money. I was like, well, if you're right, I'll just sell it. Somebody will buy it surely. I love my Kindle. I read If You Tell after using my Kindle and Flicker in the Dark. I decided I'm gonna go like kind of back and forth. I'm always a little sad I missed my Kindle, actually. I thought I would want to hold like a physical book, and because I do love I love holding a book. I just feel powerful holding a book. But I love my Kindle. I love it for nighttime and baths especially. 100%. Maybe during the day you could read like a physical book, and then for travel or at nighttime 100%. If you're a bed reader, love this. You can do dark mode or light mode. So I do light mode during the day and then I switch it to dark mode at night. I like turn up the warmth, turn down the brightness. We're golden, baby. I'm telling you. It's amazing. I also love that you can do Kindle Unlimited. I did the 30-day free trial. I swear I'm not sponsored, you guys. I did the 30-day free trial. You can download up to 20 books a month. And then after that, it's $10 a month after my 30-day free trial. So starting in June, I'll have to pay $10 a month. Worth it, 100%. There isn't every single book on Kindle Unlimited, I will say. On your Kindle, you can get dang near any book you can think of. But Kindle Unlimited sometimes doesn't have all of the titles I want. It has, I would say, probably half of my Goodreads want to read list. So I have on my Goodreads, again, not sponsored by Goodreads. I just love Goodreads. I've talked about Goodreads before, but this is like my want to read section, where it's like I have like 70 books in here, I think. I have them sorted from highest rating to lowest rating just because I'm like, what's best rated? I love that it has like the reviews. It tells you how many stars it's given, like over all the ratings, and then it has a thing where you can read without spoilers, people's reviews, so that's been really helpful for me too. My Goodreads syncs to my Kindle, so that's really nice because I can, do both, like it goes onto here. So a lot of the books that are on my want to read list is on Kindle Unlimited, so it's included in that $10 a month that I pay to have all these titles. But I will say that there's probably 40 to 50% that aren't, so you can buy them just as a Kindle ebook. Those ones, dependent on the price difference, I'll probably buy in a physical book, because if I'm gonna spend the same amount, like versus having it electronically or having it physically, I think I'd rather just have a physical copy. And I mean, the other thing that I love about the Kindle is that if you do the Kindle Unlimited and you read a book and you really like it, you can buy it. Like if you think that you're gonna wanna, read it again, then you can actually buy the physical copy. Whereas like a couple of these books, maybe I wouldn't have wanted to own a physical copy of. I don't know that I'll read a couple of them again. So I don't know, there is pros and cons, but I think it's worth it. I mean, it wasn't that expensive. I think it was like 140 bucks. I think go for it. I actually got it for my birthday and I asked for it, but everybody was like, she's not gonna like it. I liked it. It's good. It's also small, so it feels like a book, and the Deming on it looks like a book. Like when you flip through the pages, I can show you guys, I guess. So like, don't read, but it flips through like a book. And I don't know, I just really like it. I think people would like it more than you would think. So one of the new books that I'm really wanting to read is a Stacey Willingham book. Oh, it's called All the Dangerous Things. I'm gonna read that next. It's not on my Kindle Unlimited, and it costs like $15 to buy the ebook, so I'm gonna probably order it on Amazon. You know what I mean? That's what I mean but Kindle Unlimited's worth it. 10 bucks. I mean, you're gonna spend 10 bucks on one book. This book's 18 bucks. You know what I mean? I bought some of these secondhand at my bookstore, but you can't find every book that you want secondhand are super cheap. A lot of the Kindle books that aren't on Unlimited are still cheaper than going to buy the physical book. Some of them are like $3 or $4. I'm like, yes, that's worth it to me. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like I said, I have quite a few books that I'm wanting to read coming up. I want to read the Mind, F-U-C-K, I won't say it, series. I also want to read a couple Agatha Christie books, and then probably some Frida McFadden. We got to throw her in at least once a month because I love her so much. Definitely some good books coming up. Chad Zuckner, I think is how you say his name. That'll be a good one too. So if you guys enjoyed this video, I love you guys. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you next month for more book reviews.